Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, and let's figure out what is happening and what we can expect moving forward, and of course for the rest of this month. So as usual, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below if you're interested. $2.99 a month. You essentially get my intraday thoughts on Tesla as it's moving and any updates essentially live throughout the trading day. Now, moving right into it, Tesla closing the day down actually about 3.3% on the day, which is going to be putting us at about $265 per share, which unfortunately compared to the market is a pretty substantial underperformance. The market has been, it pretty much closed completely flat for the day. So Tesla definitely underperforming the market by a pretty decent margin. Now, of course, the main question is, what does this mean? Moving forward, is this bad? Is this good? Are we falling more? Are we bouncing from here? Is this the bottom? Like, what's going on? Let's discuss it. So first and foremost, right, the most important thing is going to be on the 65-minute chart as we zoom in, right? So on this little situation that we found ourselves in here, that we've kind of been going relatively sideways for the most part, unfortunately, it doesn't look that great from here. So when we were just, before today's price action, I talked about how I personally see a bearish divergence happening, right? Because, our side is essentially making lower highs while we're making higher highs, right? And that's not good. And even over here, we pretty much did not make we actually made a higher low, but we made a lower low. So lower lows, pretty much the RSI is doing the complete opposite, right? As the stock is moving to the top right, the RSI is overall, both sides, the higher highs and the highs and the lows are both moving lower. That to me is a bearish divergence, right? Now, I saw some people saying that this could be a hidden bullish divergence, where essentially, I always get this one mixed up, but it's essentially when the stock is making higher lows, but the RSI is making lower lows. Specifically just that. That's a hidden bullish divergence, which you could have made the argument before today's price action. I definitely can see the argument, but because we did make higher highs and we didn't make higher highs on the RSI, to me it falls apart. So anyway, that's kind of just the thought process there, which is why I saw the bearish divergence, and it's kind of playing out. You can see we came all the way down here, right? And now the RSI is just meaningfully lower, right? Even compared to like way when it was back here, we're actually higher than this level right here, this candle right here. The RSI was actually higher here though. You know what I mean? So we're definitely showing some meaningful bearish divergences overall, and it looks like it's finally playing out, right? You can also have technically made a line something like this. Where is it? Right? Something like this, for instance, you could have done, right? And then, we have obviously broken down below that as well. So there's a lot of things to look at in that kind of situation. But another thing to kind of pay attention to is the fact that this level right here that we did finally break under, that was before acting as a support. This, of course, 266/7 up to 270, that kind of general range. Actually, maybe if we just go here, maybe it's easier to see if I can zoom out enough. Right over here, which we're kind of potentially there is still potential to find support here. There is still potential, right? There's definitely potential to find some level of support here, because this is back where we found a lot of support and resistance here, and we pretty much came right back into it. But the thing that's a little concerning is the fact that initially when we came back down on this little sell-off right here, we came to about 267. We actually turned this area into a nice, obvious support, bounced off of it, and of course had a beautiful rally. Well, not a beautiful rally, but a rally. Unfortunately, now we did gap down pretty significantly. A lot of selling pressure. The MACD is looking bearish. The RSI is not looking that great either. And unfortunately, we are right back into this area. Thankfully, we didn't actually fall below this area as well, which would have been even worse. But this area no longer really acted as that much of a resistance, at least the way it did over here. So us setting a lower low here is a little bit concerning on this kind of micro time frame over here. So just something you want to be a little bit careful about, right? So, there's still a chance that we bounce from here. And if I go to the daily, you can see we are technically in this, the two blue lines. We are in this ascending channel over here. So another kind of thing to pay attention to, right? So, as long as we don't fall below this, which is going to be pretty much putting us at essentially just below 260, roughly 262 to 260, which is also where this previous area right here, where the support kind of starts getting a little bit wobbly if we fall below that level. Also where we got a bit of support, you can see on this gap up where we came down, got supported by this level, and then we had a beautiful rally on this one candle right here, right? So, you want to pay attention to those levels right there. So there's still a possibility that we actually get a bit of a bounce from here. Tuesday is usually not very nice to Tesla, so we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. But if we fall out of this on top of everything else, that's when I think that the move to the upside is going to be paused for a bit, right? I still think it'll happen. I still think it'll happen later, of course, again, probably like end of October, something like that. especially as we move into November, in my opinion, for now at least. But especially if we fall down out of this channel, that to me is going to tell me that, not only is the move to the upside going to be paused, but we're going to be at the very least going sideways, if not moving our way down, right? But so if we fall below, again, my main first levels will be the 50-day moving average, right? We also have the 21 EMA, which is pretty much right at it. So pretty much this overall general level of about 255-ish will be the first level I'll be paying attention to. And then just below that, we of course have the gap fill at just shy of 250, about $248 as well. So those are the first two levels I'll be paying attention to and seeing if Tesla finds a nice little bit of a support there. So just keep that in mind, right? That's kind of the main thing I'll be looking at as of right now. And that's what I've been telling my members, right? I told them how if we fall below this level right here that we've previously found a support, that, that's not a good sign. And especially if we fall below and we close a candle, which we did, the first candle, right? The first 65 or 1 hour candle. And then I said, if we come back up, let me see where it is. I said it right here. Here. So unfortunately, we did close the candle below. Now we see if this 267-ish level up to 270 acts of resistance or not, right? And if it does, of course, that's where I think we'll start moving our way to the 50-day moving average, which we just discussed. And unfortunately, it seems like we're definitely looking at that area now acting as a resistance, right? This 267 to 270 level. So just keep that in mind as well, right? That's not an ideal situation because, again, previously this level right here, you can see it was acting as a support. Now it's acting as a resistance as we came up into it after breaking below it, kind of almost like retesting that area. So just keep that in mind. I don't like to see that, right? That's to me is a little bit bearish. I'm not going to lie. The MACD is looking pretty bearish right now, not looking very positive right now as well. And again, the RSI still showing some weakness in my opinion as well. So take that for what it's worth, right? This is why I was overall kind of cautious on this move. I talked about it, right? This is why I've been selling calls into this overall rally. Now, again, this doesn't mean that this has to go down. Like I said, there's still this channel that, in my opinion is a very real possibility that we get a bounce from here. So you definitely want to be eyeballing this channel, these two blue lines right here. Very, very important. But otherwise, definitely take some caution here, right? On top of that, of course, we are still moving down into overall some pretty good volume, right? Like I said, if we come down to the 50-day moving average, maybe even as low as this gap filler around 248.5 roughly, we're entering some high volume territory, which in theory should act as a support, which is good for the bulls. So keep that in mind. But don't be surprised if Tesla kind of does nothing really for the rest of this month, maybe even most of October, or like just slowly bleeds downwards as we slowly make our way to this kind of 250s, give or take level. Don't be too shocked if that were to happen. And not a whole lot happens until maybe like the Cybertruck event happens. There has been kind of leaked information that Cybertruck will start delivery sometime in October. My guess, it'll be sometime near the end of October. So if that's the case, we probably have a bit of a boring month and a half or so ahead of us, unless the market itself just tanks, which of course is also very possible. We are, of course, for the market below the 50-day moving average. Over here, you can see on a SPY. QQQ also below the 50-day moving average. And you can see what happens if we break below this volume over here. There's a lot less volume below here. So keep that in mind. So if the market starts tanking, right, it doesn't matter what Tesla is doing for the most part. It's probably going to drag it down with it. So just take that for what it's worth. It's very important, right, to understand like these overall situations. Overall, not looking good. I don't think that we're going to be rallying up to the 300s and breaking into 300s anytime soon. I do think it'll take a couple of months. I really do. And I think towards the end of the year-ish, maybe November, is when we can start thinking about that kind of stuff. In my opinion, of course, I could be completely wrong. Keep that in mind. Taking a look at the TW pivot, not really showing a whole lot on the weekly, also not showing too much. So it's a bit of a useless indicator for now. That's one of those indicators where it's useless until it's not, if that makes sense. We have the order book flow, not a whole lot here as well, right? Sell orders all the way up to 300. Buy orders are sitting down at the 230s. 65-minute chart, however, we are sitting right at a beautiful buy order block with a sell order block pretty much right where we got rejected just on Friday and Thursday. So a little bit of a ping pong zone potentially here as well. So keep that in mind, which would kind of make sense with this potential channel that we are in, where we kind of just go sideways for a little bit and eventually maybe just kind of bleed out slowly from it. That's also possible. But again, I don't expect anything too completely crazy anytime soon, unless of course some major announcement comes out of nowhere for Tesla, which is always possible, which is why you can never really truly time the market. But all in all, in terms of just strictly technical analysis, I don't expect anything too completely crazy for now, at least. For now. The squeeze indicator, not showing a whole lot as well on the weekly, not showing a whole lot as well. Looking a little bit bullish, but again, not showing too much as well. So there's not that much more to talk about, unfortunately. I mean, we have the option flow, of course, we'll discuss that very quickly, which surprisingly is still looking not too shabby for the bulls. I mean, bears are starting to roll in over here. I did share with my members This morning, you can see this is how it looked like. Definitely a lot more bullish this morning, but it looks like the bulls are starting to kind of, exit some of their positions. But even with that being said, I would still argue this looks about 60% bullish, 40% bearish, right? Definitely some pretty big circles over here for the bears that you can see some definitely, some bears definitely taking some positions. But in my opinion, the bulls are still outweighing the bears. So it's a bit of a 50-50 here, right? Close enough, right? So no one's really taking one side or the other. It's not overwhelmingly bearish or bullish. So I'll keep updating you guys with this throughout, each day that we discuss this, and my members as well will get it, of course, during the trading day as well. So, but nonetheless, overall, that's kind of what I am seeing. There's not that much more to talk about. I do think Tesla's a bit on thin ice here. I don't think it's looking that bullish. It's not really necessarily looking bearish either, right? It's not like ridiculously bearish that we're just going to completely plummet to like 150 next or something like that, but it's also not really looking bullish to me either. It's looking a neutral to bearish, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? That's the way I'm looking at it, and I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of just slowly bleed, slowly go down, maybe some bounces in between, of course, kind of go sideways with a slow direction to the downside, and just kind of let that happen throughout the month, unless of course the market just tanks, which FOMC is on Wednesday. I believe it's FOMC on Wednesday, so that might influence this a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. But all in all, that's kind of what I am seeing. So let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.